If you've been watching all of my recent videos, then you would know that I have done a big transformation in my collection lately, including a miniature declutter in the video where I depotted all of my eyeshadows. And over the course of the past year, I've noticed this transition in my mindset towards makeup and towards panning, and I am less interested in panning just to pan and more so interested in getting a few things out of my collection. But now that I've more curated what I want and I'm less inclined to go and purchase a bunch of stuff because I just am not as interested in purchasing a bunch of things now, that I have found that decluttering has just been a better option for me where I am at this point. Anyways, let's get straight to the 6 eyeshadows that I'm decluttering. This is a very small declutter because I already did a pretty substantial one, at least for me, in that video. If you haven't checked it out, go ahead, check it out. It's kind of long, but it's a fun ride. But because of that, all of the shadows I'm decluttering today are ones that are currently in projects. So sorry if that disappoints you, but the things that I pan are almost always some of the oldest things in my collection, or Frankens, or both. And I'm just not interested in painting the mediocre old shadows anymore, because now that I have the freedom to create my own color stories, I'm so much more inspired to use my new shadows, and I want to do that. And I don't want to be burdened down with all these old shadows that I was trying to use up, and I'm not even sure. I guess I don't see the reason for using them up anymore. I don't think I have a lesson to learn anymore. So it would just be me ignoring my new shadows so I can work on old shadows that I don't even like as much. So it just doesn't make sense for me anymore. The first thing is something that I almost decluttered in that video, and then I wasn't sure, and so I didn't make a decision just yet. But this Franken, it's a very pretty, warm, peachy pink shade, but it is not very unique in my collection. I have several shades that are similar. This one I think is the most similar in my collection. Do not ask me where it came from. Everything is depotted and it's basically unbranded, which I kind of like. To be fair, there are a lot of shades that I do know where they came from, but this is one of them where I'm like, maybe the Profusion Walls palette. But yeah, I have plenty of peachy shades, and this isn't outstanding in any way. It's just a pretty shade, but I don't need it, and it's made of a bunch of old shades that were Franken in here, like the oldest palette I had. I'm basically getting rid of everything that came from the oldest palette with the exception of one shade, which probably be gone by the end of the year anyway. Another Franken that was similar base, but I added a cool tone instead, was this shade. I actually had pan in it, had less in it. I prefer other shades. This one isn't exact. In the end, I'm going to show swatches comparing the shades that I'm keeping versus decluttering. And I think this one and a green one I'll talk about. I did mix 2 shades to get a similar color, but like, I'm not going to miss this. It's just, you know, a rosy pink shade. It's actually a lot warmer than it looks in the pan on the eyes for some reason. So that's why I chose this shade. But I have rosy, mauvey, pinky shades, and I don't particularly need this ancient thing that isn't the best formula or anything like that. So that is also going. This one looks very strange. It's actually a really recent Franken. I did it when I was depotting everything. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna use this because I really like a similar Franken I made, and I try to make more of it. But I've moved on. I don't want to do that. This is a lot. I don't know what I was thinking. It has a unique shiftiness. It's very pretty, but I have plenty of pinky, rosy, mauve shades, and I just don't need this one that was made out of old shadows that is huge. And if you're wondering why I'm doing this decluttering through duping method, it's because a lot of these were like, I wanted to get rid of them, but I felt like I didn't have a justification, even though they're old. But like, I needed the justification that I had something similar to help me feel better about this decision. So I don't always declutter because I have a dupe. Sometimes I like having multiples that are similar if I like them all, and sometimes I get rid of things even if I have nothing like them because I don't like them. But these ones, I needed the extra push. Now, this Franken I did really enjoy using because of the color. The formula, however, it isn't made out of the oldest shadows, but it was made out of this one ColourPop shadow I really didn't like the formula of. And it's a little bit better now that it's Franken, but it's just, I couldn't find an exact dupe, but I have this. This one looks different in the pan, but it is like a brighter pink with that interesting shift. It's super metallic. It's like a creamy texture. And I figure if I want a pink, I'll just do this one. This is a pretty shade. I just don't like the formula enough to keep using it. It's very dry looking on the eyes, despite being a shimmer. I have a really cool tone green that is cooler than this. And then I also have this green, which is from the e.l.f. Earth and Ocean palette. And between the two, I don't need this one. I was really enjoying using it to pan. I have, you know, a decent sized pan in it as well, but it's just super powdery, not very pigmented. It required a lot of buildup, and I was like, this is made out of shadows old as the hills. Old as the hills. Why am I wasting my time working with shadows that don't work the best? Well, I do like the color, and I could just, you know, tap my brush in here and into a green that was from my NYX Ultimate Utopia palette and get a very similar shade with a lot less work and isn't old as the hills, you know? So I'm moving on. I don't need it. And the last one is one that was a bit harder for me to get rid of because while it is from the oldest palette that I had, which was the Wet n Wild Stop Playing Safe palette, and it was by far the best shimmer I've ever tried from Wet n Wild. It's this really pretty minty shade. This I put in my Panda Green Gables project pan, which I have not been good at updating because I've not been wearing enough makeup to make good updates. So, and also I was busy for a while there. My goal is to hit pan, and then I was like, oh, I'll finish it because I hit pan like after the first or second use. But no. I hit pan, you know, it's just old. It's really old. And what helped me say goodbye was this beautiful shade from the BH Cosmetics Lost in Los Angeles palette. They're not exact dupes, but they're pretty darn similar. This one's a little bit greener, but it's also less vibrant. It's a bit more of a muted shade. And if I want a fun, minty, springy, summery color, I probably just want a bright one. And this one's slightly lighter too. So I think I prefer this shade. Though this is really pretty. I'm pretty sure I got this Wet n Wild palette like my sophomore year of high school or something like that. Maybe my junior year, but I'm going into my junior year of college. So it's 4 or 5 years old. I don't need it. So that is everything that I'm getting rid of. I'm getting rid of 6. If you are wondering though, which ones I am keeping in terms of, because all of the ones I'm getting rid of are from projects. I am keeping a few things from projects, and they're basically all on my eyes except for one. In terms of the Frankly My Dear I Don't Give a Pan project pan that I've been in for a little over a year now, I am keeping 2 shades for that. And that includes this purple shade that is on my eyes today. I made a video where I repressed this. That might come after this, I'm not sure. So I re-hit pan after the first use, super thin. I kept it because there's so little left, and I actually don't have a color similar to this. It's kind of underwhelming in terms of finish, but since there's so little left, I kind of just want to use it up because I want to. I don't know, I make the rules here. And I've been pairing that with this brownie mauve shade that is supposed to be similar to the one that I swatched earlier, but got rid of. Let me see. Yeah. They're slightly different, but they're really similar. Been using this in the crease. I also repressed this. So it'll take a bit longer, but there's pretty significant pan before I repressed it, so I don't think it'll be too hard to use up. So those are the only 2 eyeshadow Frankens that I'm keeping and planning on using up to completion. And I think they pair pretty decently together. Ignore how much blue is on my eyes. That is the only shade from the Wet n Wild Stop Playing Safe palette that I am keeping probably till the end of the year. And I just really like this color, so I want to use it a bit more. I don't know if I'll finish it by the end of the year, but maybe like half of what's in here. The past few times I've done my makeup, which hasn't been super often, I did the purple in the lid, that mauve shade in the crease, And then this blue was an eyeliner, and every time I'm like, I'm gonna do like a little flick, and then this happens. So yeah. Making things even is kind of tricky, you know? And then I didn't do it this time, but the past few times I've done this pale CoverGirl sterling blue shade in my inner corner. And this shade isn't super old, so it is kind of unique as well, even though it's not the best formula. So yeah, I have these 4 shades that I'm working on, very cool toned, but the purple won't take more than 10 uses, and so I think eventually I'll have the blue on the lid with this in the crease, and I don't think the blue will take that long once I start using it on the lid. So yeah, and then here's my 2 Franken contours. But if there are any makeup items in your collection that you're kind of on the fence about whether or not you want to keep them, try shopping your stash and seeing if you have any dupes or anything similar enough that you would rather reach for compared to the one that you already have, and maybe that can help justify it to giving it to a new home or just get rid of it. I'm not giving these shadows to anyone because, like I said, they are old, so I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you have an amazing day. Bye!